Just how did Brazil arrive at a conservative government after 30 years of left-leaning policies and no conservative party in existence even 6 years ago? And what role did social media play in all of this? What is Brazil's relationship with Venezuela, past and present? And is there a deeper story behind the assassination attempt on Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro? This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Jan Jekielek. Today we sit down with Brazilian Congressman Eduardo Bolsonaro, son of the president. We discuss his take on Brazil's conservative movement, the socialist dangers that Brazil avoided through its change in leadership, globalism, and what Brazil is doing to build a healthy future.
My name is Stephen Gregory, and this is American Thought Leader.
Thank you for the space, Steve.
You're in Washington with your father, President Jair Bolsonaro, and I want to ask you about that visit and about his presidency. But first, I'd like to learn a little bit more about you. You have served 2 terms in Congress in Brazil, and this last election, I understand you won in a huge landslide, that you gathered more votes than any Brazilian congressperson has ever won.
Yes. Yeah, it was a surprise for us. We weren't expect that much, but it was historic. It says a lot about the moment that we are living, and not only in Brazil. If you look around in the whole region, you have other people with the same thinking way of the President Jair Bolsonaro, as Trump too. You look to Chile, you have Sebastián Piñera, Colombia, Ivan Duque, Paraguay, Mário Abdo Benítez, Macri in Argentina. So it's not a movement about extreme right, as the press usually says that we are. It's something that got natural and is a huge message that we don't want a socialism anymore.
That's an amazing change. I understand that just 6 years ago, there was no conservative party in Brazil. Is that true?
That's true. If you look to, it was so hard to Jair Bolsonaro can find a party that would clearly support him to be the president. And now we have we are the biggest party of the Congress, with this huge votation ever. So it's something that even sometimes it's hard to us to believe in that, like a dream.
Why do you think this happened so quickly? And as you say, not just in Brazil, but in several other South American countries.
If you look in the whole region, all the ex-presidents, they were friends. Evo Morales, Hugo Chávez, then Maduro, Lula, then Dilma, Eduardo Correa, and the Kirchners. And then people got full of that, because everything is about politically correct, everything is about assistencialism, and people got full of that, and even more, because it was so much scandals about corruption that people said, okay, we want to change. And who represents the change? Who is talking what's more close of the people? Then they find Jair Bolsonaro, because Jair Bolsonaro, he didn't spend even $1 million during his whole campaign. He's someone that he stayed 17 years in the army, and then almost 30 years as a congressman. And he doesn't have too much support of the political parties, so it was a hard election, but we had one thing that all the other candidates, they didn't have, is the people on his side.
Well, this is a really interesting story. I mean, I understand the people were sick of corruption. There have been socialist governments for decades. And what managed to pull them together? I mean, it's one thing to be unhappy with the way things are going. It's another thing to see that there's an alternative, and that there's that your father, for instance, offered the Brazilian people a different chance.
Mm-hmm. You have a video that got pretty famous on the internet, that is the ex-president Lula talking and laughing, like celebrating that you don't have even one candidate right-wing. All the candidates, it was, I think, 2010 or 2014. It's because it was hard to grow up. In the beginning, socialism is always cool. People like it, everybody have money, everybody can buy everything. But then, soon or later, comes the account. And in Brazil, when this account came, it was during the term of Dilma Rousseff. Mm-hmm. and we faced 14 million disemployers. It was really hard. It was, I think, the worst crisis, economic crisis ever in Brazil. It also, this economic issue also helped in this change.
So the people could see that things were not working.
Yes, clearly. After, and it's not just one point. It's one point that goes to another point. If you look for the security, we have records year after year in Brazil. We are facing records of murders, and they say, and they keep with the same policies. No, he's robbing because he couldn't go to the school when he was younger. The problem is our society because people don't like black people. That's why he didn't have a change. And this whole thing about politically correct, it's full. Like when people open your door, the world is totally different from what the governments are telling them, and people got full of that.
Well, let's return to political correctness. But you've been a short time in Congress, but in 2015 you were awarded for being the best at fighting corruption, and in 2017 you were chosen the best deputy. That seems remarkable to me. And you've been in Congress 2 or 4 years, and you're winning awards. What happened?
First, I have to say thank you to my father. So long time in the Congress, no corruption scandals involving him. Sometimes getting guys from his party, but it collaborated to people look Jair Bolsonaro as someone is out of this dirty political system. And for sure, when I came to the Congress, in the beginning, when I was in the university, I said that I would never go into politics. Because we know how hard it is, you don't have privacy, everything that you do, people is looking, trying to get something that you are doing wrong, and it's a total different life. But as I grew up, as I was building my car here in the federal police, and looking to my father receiving so much attacks, almost alone in the Congress, I asked him, "Hey, father, would you support me if I try to get a chair in São Paulo State?" And he said, "That is okay, let's go in that." In 2014, I spent in dollars, I would say around $20,000, and got elected in São Paulo, which it is the richest state of Brazil. And then in 2018, I received this record, the most voted ever in the history of Brazil. We are proud of that, but for sure, my father, he has a lot with this. And I'm doing step by step, I'm doing my car here. I'm glad that when I go outside, when I go to the streets, I take a lot of pictures with people. It makes grow up the sense of responsibility that we have. And we are very, very, how can I say in English? Sometimes I forget the word. We are worried about that. Like we don't have a second chance. We have only one bullet. And we have to do the right thing and change the whole history of Brazil, because we are clear that if we fail, the left-wingers are going to come back with the whole history, and Brazil is going to be much more closer of Venezuela than United States, for example.
So this miraculous change that happened 5 or 6 years ago, where suddenly Brazilians said, we're sick of socialism, you see that as being fragile, that if you don't show them what works, they'll flip back to socialism. Is that the case?
Yes, for sure, yes. Because the socialism, it's easy, the speech. What do? They say, they put a cloth and say, "Hey man, I'm here for the peace." Everyone who says something different, they are against the peace. "Hey man, I'm here to protect you, black people." Everyone who says against what I'm telling you, they are racist. And they keep with all the other issues. That's why they say that Bolsonaro is racist, xenophobic, homophobic, nazist, fascist, and all the other stuff. They even are creating new words, bad words, to say that Bolsonaro is like this. And when you go to the internet where you don't need the mainstream media to say for you what is going on, and you can see by your eyes, it's just open an Instagram on your smartphone or Facebook, you see a totally different people. So internet was like essential in the campaign of Jair Bolsonaro to show people who he is, that he's not racist, fascist, Nazist, xenophobic, homophobic, and all the other stuff.
We're familiar in the United States with
for sure, I know that.
with if you disagree with the left, you get called all those names. So this cuts across countries.
Yes, and you are right, Stephen. What they do in Brazil, they do in the US, they do in Europe, they do in Chile, in Colombia. They are all very well connected. And that's why I want to use my influence and the position that I have now to build it around the world, to make this miracle that happened in Brazil and also happen in other countries, to it doesn't be only a small wave, to it be permanent, to really be organized and stop with the socialism as long time as we can.
In these recent campaigns, your president's campaign, social media was what allowed your father to break through this narrative, to establish a direct connection with the people. That's the story?
Yes, for sure. 100%. If you look for the social media of Jair Bolsonaro, is huge. It's even bigger of a lot of soccer players or artists, and it made the total difference this campaign. And I have to say that my brother, Carlos Bolsonaro, he's handling the social media of Jair Bolsonaro. He doesn't like to do interviews, he doesn't like to appear too much, but he is the biggest guy that got a responsibility in this election, because after the stab of my father, he stayed 77% of the campaign time in the hospital or at home. So imagine you stop the whole campaign. You are not going to all the states. You are going to stay at home talking only to a cell phone. This is what happened. So thanks, my brother. And if you look to the interview of my father after he got elected, the first time that he went to the television live, he said, "Thanks, Carlos Bolsonaro." And also when he was taking office in January 1st, he said again, "Thank you, my son, Carlos Bolsonaro."
Just for our viewers who may not be completely up to date on Brazilian politics, in early September, your father suffered a very serious knife wound, an attack. Did he almost die?
Yes, it was really hard. Some time ago, I wasn't even able to talk about that because I got kind of emotional, but I'm gonna use it. When he received this stab, I was doing campaign in the state of São Paulo. He was in a neighborhood state called Minas Gerais, in a city called Juiz de Fora. An assessor called me and he said, "Be calm, your father got stabbed." And I said, "Okay, how bad was that?" And I was trying to imagine, and he said, "We don't have too much information, but you are going to start it on the news." Then a little bit later, people started to talk. I was getting a little bit nervous. And my oldest brother, Flavio, he tweeted, "Okay, it wasn't that bad, it was only superficial." So I got calm. Yeah. When I went to a friend's house and started to watch again the news, it wasn't that easy. Because he received the cut, it wasn't bleeding that much. But internally, he lost more than 2 liters of blood. It cutted his intestine in 4 parts. And one part, it was feces all around. So it was 2 liters, a little bit more than 2 liters of blood with He died and came back twice. And he was really lucky. In this part, we say that we do believe in God, because when he got out, it was so quick that the federal agents that were doing his security, they took my father from the crowd. It was around 20 or 30,000 people around. It was so quick, and went right away to the hospital. So they knew, they mapped where was the where were the hospitals around, the nearest ones. And the doctor said, 5 more minutes and he got died, because the heart was almost without blood to work. And when he arrived in this public hospital in Brazil, Santa Casa de Juiz de Fora, there was a crew with specialists in the area that was necessary to do the surgery. It doesn't happen all the time in Brazil. So he was really lucky, and during the surgery, the doctor said that he had much more chances to die than be alive. It's around each 100 people that receive the same stab of him, only one survive. So I think he said that, my father said that he thinks that he has a mission to do here, and it was too much coincidence to believe that you don't have the hand of God on that.
Why do you think this attack happened?
It's the guy who stabbed him. He's a part of the PSOL. PSOL is the Socialism and Liberty Party. He's not part of this party since 2014, but he made a lot of years part of this party. He entered in the Congress at least twice. We don't know to where. We don't have too much information about that. They are handle it undercover, in a secret, but I know that he went to the Congress. And for sure, it's a political issue. No matter about that. And it's someone that would kill him to take him off of the presidential running of 2018. This is for sure. What I got said that sometimes people is going fast, trying to say that no, he was like a solitary wolf. It was something isolated. No. It was something made by a leftist. Imagine if the opposite happens. Someone that was part of our party that stabbed a left-wing candidate. They would be crazy with that. They would create statues or do International Day of the, they are masters in do that. Yeah. But thanks for the opportunity to talk here to you Americans what really happened in Brazil.
Yeah, that's, thank goodness.
Sorry, I have to compliment. After the stab, you have at least 3 lawyers that went directly to the police office where this criminal was arrested, even using their particular airplanes. And we want to know who paid. What is the interesting? You are a lawyer, you are going to get your private airplane right after of everything, go there in a couple of hours. You are in the same city of everything happened with the whole crew of lawyers. Doesn't it sound something like prepared? And another thing, the guy who attacked my father, his name is Adélio. He went to the same shooting range that me and my brother are used to go in the south of Brazil, in the state of Santa Catarina.
What kind of range?
It's an indoor range in a club.
Range.
Yeah, shooting range. Mm-hmm. I have a friend there. Everybody who follows us on the internet knows that we go to this place. And he received instructions of pistol. And the instructor that was with Adélio, all the time, he said he discovered that after everything happens. But all the times when he was teaching Adélio how to shoot, when someone got into this indoor shooting range, Adélio was looking for the door. And why? Because in that day, it was supposed to arrive one guy here from the SWAT to do a course in Brazil. And as an international guy from SWAT is coming to Brazil, you can expect that me and my brother, we are going to do that course too. So maybe Adélio was expecting that me or my brother Carlos was going there to the same shooting range. Mm-hmm. But thanks God, I didn't go. Carlos went there. When he arrived in the airport, he didn't go to the shooting range. He went to the hotel. Mm-hmm. But usually he goes to the shooting range because we have a lot of friends there. Mm-hmm. but not this night. And thanks God, because maybe things could be different. And you have another video around the internet. There is an image of my father arriving in the city of Juiz de Fora. Black car, my father was in front of the car, the crowd was all around, and Carlos was behind the car with the cell phone recording a video. For somehow, my brother Carlos, he entered in the car. Not even 3 seconds after, you see Adélio walking around with the knife on the hands. The knife was covered with newspaper. But my brother Carlos, he entered in the car, then comes Adélio appearing, walking around. So he was trying, I don't know, if kill Carlos or Jair, but he was around there, decided to do what he was supposed to do.
Well, that's a terrifying story.
No, really terrifying.
How much of a history of political violence is there in Brazil?
You have some politicians that got killed when it happened. The biggest case it's the mayor of the city of Santo André. The name of this mayor is Celso Daniel. He was a left wing guy from the PT, Partido dos Trabalhadores. People say that he died because he was trying to change the corruption system about the transportation in his city, because he was supposed to pay some money to other guys, and he was trying to change it. So they decided to kill him. Officially, what is on the newspaper? Common crime. Someone tried to steal, but if you look for the whole history, the 8 last guys that had contact with Celso Daniel got killed too. The waiter, the guy who found his body, and it's hard because as it's not in the official investigation, but everybody knows what happened. And you can clearly see that there was an operation to put some silence, to it be quiet, so people don't know what is going on really. And sometimes when people say that, even the PT politics, they don't answer too much. It's like they receive the fault and just, that's it. And for sure, a lot of other city councils, especially city councils, but it is also not all for political reasons. You have corruption, you have group disputing the power. Sometimes they kill people, not that much, but sometimes happen in Brazil. So as your father seeks to change Brazil, transform Brazil, I imagine one thing he hopes is to kind of uproot this political violence. Yeah. Well, it's an amazing thing that for the month before the election, your father was in a hospital bed, and he still got 48% of the vote, even though he was, I'm not sure. You could stop this movement.
Yeah.
People was really sick, really full of regular politicians. Yeah. Probably the same happened here with Trump.
Well, your father is often compared to Trump. Do you think that's a good comparison?
I think so.
Oh.
I'm sure yes.
You're sure yes.
Before, in 2016, before the Trump election, people in Brazil didn't know too much about Trump. I mean, we know that we made that series. What is the name of the series? In English, I don't know. The Aprendiz. You are fired.
Oh, the Apprentice.
Yes, The Apprentice.
Yeah.
It got famous in Brazil. But people didn't have too much idea, and what happened is that, as we said, that the left wingers, they are very organized all over the world. The message that was the Brazil was receiving about Trump, it was that kind of message that He don't like the Mexicans, he wants to build a wall, he don't like black people, he wants to do politics only for rich people. It's the same thing that people say about Jair Bolsonaro. But even in that time, in 2016, I made some posts supporting him. I know that he doesn't need my support and I don't have the capability of change stuff in the United States. But it's to say that, hey, there is someone stepping out of the politically correct in Brazil and also in the United States. Paying attention to this guy. So when he got elected, it was really fun. Because if you look at the news in Brazil, if you turn on the television, almost all the journalists was like incredible. Like, okay, we came here for the United States, Donald Trump just got elected. And then the other side in Brazil, the journalists, sorry, can you confirm that? Donald Trump just got elected. How? Because no one was expecting. They try to manipulate the society and they believe in this kind of dream, illusion. But if you look to the real world, it's totally different. Even people that sometimes don't want to say that are going to vote in Jair Bolsonaro or Donald Trump, they are going to do that. You know, but if they say that they are going to vote in Jair Bolsonaro, maybe his boss can fire him. Maybe other people, oh man, are you going to vote in this guy? He's racist, xenophobic, Nazist, and all this stuff. You know, so they just prefer be quiet, go there and vote. And and I think they have a lot of similarities. But I think the main one, it is the fact of they don't care about the mainstream media. And if they look something and this is the right thing to do, they are going to do that. Doesn't matter what people are going to talk about that.
So they're similar and they have political courage and they don't care about political correctness.
Yes, sure. This is 100%.
Yeah.
My father even make a jokes that they have another similarity. I mean, not that similarity. That my father is richer than Trump.
But I understand you to be saying that not just Trump and your father are similar, but that there was a similar moment, a similar kind of popular change in the popular understanding.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I'm from, in the university, I made the law in the university. And a teacher, he taught me that when you are doing a law, first you have to wait the society change their relations. Mm-hmm. Then the congressman look that and change the law. Mm-hmm. What the left wings try to do, they try to first change the law and then put people to do that. Mm-hmm. So Brazil, the biggest part of Brazil, we are conservatives. We are Christians. Mm-hmm. And people don't agree too much with a lot of stuff that the left wing say. They say too much about the homosexuality issue. Mm-hmm. Okay, it has a space in the government agenda, but not the whole space for you. Mm-hmm. Just to say one example. In Brazil, we have 62,000 murders per year. Mm-hmm. And around 300 of these murders is because gay stuff. It's not official. Who says 300 murders is a non-government organization, LGBT. Mm-hmm. But okay, let's go trust and say that it's true, 300. Mm-hmm. Which one you think the government would have as priority? The 61,700 or the 300 murders? It's just that. If you get a better security for the whole society, it will be better for heterosexual, homosexual, black, white, yellow, orientals, and everybody. Mm-hmm. The left-wingers, they are masters in separate the society. And then, in the right next moment, appear the politician, wearing his suits of protectors of the black, of the woman, of all the others, mm-hmm. just to get your vote and keep there in the power. We don't care about that. If you take a look in Brazil, 15 years ago, from 15 years ago to now, you are going to see that even the humorists have troubles trying to do jokes because they receive, they have to go to the trial sometimes telling that they are not racist, they are not against women or whatever. It's boring living in a society like that. Like, you have to pay attention even in the jokes that we are doing, because people can feel like, oh, he made a joke, oh, poor of me, I got offended with that. Come on, it's a joke, everybody knows about that. Or are you going to create something to protect people that don't have hair as me? Come on.
Okay. Journalists in Brazil and the United States have sometimes compared you to Jared Kushner, the President Trump's son-in-law. They say that you play a role with your father similar to Kushner plays with President Trump. Now, Kushner has some very important policy portfolios, and he also is a very close advisor to his father. Do you think that's a fair comparison, to compare you to Kushner? And what role are you playing in your father's
I didn't see yet, but I'm glad with this comparison. Jared is smarter than me. Maybe one day I get in the same position. But yes, not only the president, everybody, you are the average of the people that live around you. So for sure, we do advices with my father. I even told it in an interview that in the end of the day, it will be me in the weekend barbecue or in the dinner before my father goes to sleep. And no way to you fire me because I'm his son. But yes, I say thanks God my father have the opportunity to give me a nice education. So when I was younger, I have an English course. Then I went to the university too. Approved in the federal police contest, public contest, which it is a pretty hard contest. And me and my brothers, for sure, we want the best for Brazil. And always, if my father needs help and advice or something, we are there to help him. But we don't have that much power. Like the president, he doesn't do what I say. I can say that I'll do a small part of his brain, like of his sense. He speaks with me, he speaks with other people, and then he thinks what is better, and then he take a decision. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad with this comparison.
Okay. What does your father want to gain from the visit to Washington this week?
The first step is a clear message that United States and Brazil are allied. Mm-hmm. This is the first issue. In Brazil, the last presidents, especially Lula and Dilma, they worked too much with ideology. Mm-hmm. So they were close of Venezuela. We have a public bank in Brazil called BNDES. We send a lot of money to Venezuela. We built a port in Cuba called Porto de Mariel, which costs around $700 million. We built some stuff in Nicaragua, in Africa, and then we just didn't receive back our money. And we have a lot of problems in Brazil to fix too. So that's why it was necessary to the last president today steal billions and billions of dollars. No one steal billions of dollars for you to have a comfortable life. They do that to the system, together with all the other Bolivarian presidents. They had a group called Foro de São Paulo. In this group, you have even the FARC, which is in Colombia, the socialist armed guys in Colombia. You had Hugo Chávez, Maduro, you have Eduardo Correa, Cristina Kirchner, Bachelet, all these presidents. So it was a lot of corruption that happened, and don't trust if someone tells you that Dilma Rousseff received a coup in 2016 when she got impeached. And also don't trust when someone tries to tell you that ex-president Lula is in jail because because politics. No, they are there because they steal a lot. Brazil is a very, very rich country, and there is no reason to don't be much more looking like United States than Cuba. And this was the way that Brazil was going to, much more like Cuba and Venezuela. That's why Jair Bolsonaro got elected.
Yeah, so Brazil was providing things for Venezuela and Cuba?
Sure. Subway in Caracas, found to, even with food, sending to Venezuela, a lot of support. And not only Brazil, if you take a look, Iran is there too. Hezbollah is full of that in Venezuela. And we have to look in them, because if you get the history in Argentina, in the 90s, twice they received a terrorist attack there. 92 against AMIA and 94 against the Israeli embassy. So don't think that this is an issue for the Midwest and you don't have nothing with that. If you think like this, you are only making the land comfortable to this kind of people come to your land. You have to be tough. Look, I'm descendant from Italians. In Brazil, the whole country was made by immigrants. But you have to control who is going inside of your house. And Brazil is our house, United States is your house, and you have to do that. Because there is a small part that bad people that come together with the good people. And they can mess it up a lot of stuff, and we really don't want that. If you ask to look the background of someone that's entering in your country, you are not xenophobic. You are only doing the right thing.
The San Paulo group that you mentioned, the Epoch Times is published on this, but I haven't seen many articles about it elsewhere. My understanding is that group is an attempt to turn South America communist.
Yes.
Is that right?
They have. They think that they would build they say the big patria. What is the big patria? It's the dream of Simón Bolívar to make the whole Latin America only one country. So that's why they say that no borders, they get the money for Brazil and send to the other countries, and this kind of stuff. They have this dream. Even if you take a look, in the Foro de São Paulo symbol, is the Latin America, but on this way, with Chile, Argentina on the top, and on the other side here you have Central America. They want to make everything confused with no parameters, with no sense. So after that, they can build what they think it is the best society. And the best society, you know how this story ends. It ends in Cuba, it ends in Venezuela. That's why the left wings, they don't talk too much about Venezuela, because they think this is a phase of the revolution. So it's all right, people got killed and this kind of stuff. They are like cleaning the society to the communism. It's just you study the history and you are going to see that the history is happening again now in Venezuela.
At the White House on Tuesday,
Well,
the situation in Venezuela and the situation with the communists in South America, will that be on the agenda?
Sure, yes. That's also why Jair Bolsonaro is coming here to us with a big crew of ministries, and also with the defense ministry, with the justice ministry, and General Heleno, which it is the GSI. And they are going to talk about that, because it's something that goes up in the United States, especially United States, Colombia, and Brazil. Now in Venezuela, people there, they have a big hope that things can change. Because if you look around, they have Trump, Duque, Jair Bolsonaro, Pinheira, Macri, Mario Abdo, and a lot of presidents of the region that are supporting free elections in Venezuela. But to have free elections, you have first take off Maduro from the power. This is the first step. And Maduro don't want to get out, not only because he's a dictatorship, but he is a common criminal. He works with the drug dealers, he works with all these guys, and he knows that once he take off the power, it's his life. It's not only that, okay, I will not be the president anymore, I will do another thing else. No. He knows that his life is in risk. Even with the possibility of all their friends that are around him kill him. Because if he says, okay, I will step out, I'm going to live in Cuba or North Korea, it not be that easy, because there are a lot of people around that have their criminal business or terror business. They're not going to be happy with that, and they can do bad things too. We know how criminals handle with each other. So it is a big issue. No one have the right solution. Everybody wants to do that without a military action in Venezuela. But we have somehow to twist the militaries inside of Venezuela. I think this is the big issue, that everybody trusts that, okay, now it's for real, let's go to do everything against Maduro, because other way they are going to suffer with the starving, and they're going to die hungry. Last year, I went to the border between Brazil and Venezuela, in a state called Roraima. From the capital of Roraima until the border, it is 200 kilometers. When you get your car and go to the road and drive these 200 kilometers, you are going to see a lot of people walking, because they don't have $10 to get a bus or a taxi on the border and go to the capital. So they walk 3 days. You're going to see all of them, men, usually between 20 and 30 years old, and the history is the same. Why they are going to Brazil? Because they want to work, send money to their families, because they don't have cats and dogs on the streets to eat anymore. And if you ask, sometimes you ask them to show pictures, and they show pictures of them like a couple of years ago, chubby or fat, and when you look at them right in front of you, they are skinny. They are losing like 10, 20 kilos. It's extreme what you see there. And the history is about eating dogs, eating cats, and it's really like emotional when you start and talk with them. And they have a big hope. If we don't help Venezuela, what is going to happen? More and more people are going to leave Venezuela. And here in Americas, we are going to face the biggest immigrant crisis ever. I'm sure about that. So we have to work hard in Venezuela, and for sure this issue will be also in the meeting between Jair Bolsonaro and Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's hope they can come up with a plan. On Monday night, before your father meets President Trump, I understand he'll be having a dinner at the embassy, and that Steve Bannon will be there. Can you say something about your relationship with Steve Bannon?
Mm-hmm. He asked me to be part of this group called The Movement. Mm-hmm. You have Salvini in Italy also doing that. It's one step. We organized the conservatives, the right-wingers around the world. It's the same movement that the left wings made it. Mm-hmm. And he has experience during the campaign, a lot of success with the campaign of Donald Trump in 2016. He invited me, I said yes, but people start to say in Brazil that, oh, look to this meeting. It's not going to be a meeting. He's invited to a dinner as much other people. And I think in this dinner, the main thing that is going to happen is the meeting between Olavo de Carvalho, a Brazilian philosopher that lives here in Virginia, and Jair Bolsonaro. Olavo de Carvalho was really important. Why? Because he's a philosopher. He has a lot of influence. He teaches a lot of people that in all the different areas, showing what it is the communism, what it is the capitalism, be conservative, and he really is the philosophy base that we have behind this movement. I think everything started with Olavo de Carvalho. And what he said 20, 30 years ago is happening now in Brazil. So he has a lot of credibility, and for sure the president listens a lot, Olavo de Carvalho. Mm-hmm. They don't talk with each other every day, But for sure, what Olavo de Carvalho says by the social media, we listen in Brazil.
I see. What does he say about cultural Marxism?
Olavo?
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes deep in there. And for sure, the left-wingers, they say, no, this is a joke, it doesn't happen.
I asked that because I was, in learning about you and your father, I thought that I learned that this was an important part of what you're doing, is trying to counter cultural Marxism.
I think this is the main stuff. This is the most important thing. Because after the Karl Marx made his theory about the communism and all this stuff, if you take a look in the history, on 1917 you have the Russian Revolution. If you look a little bit more, you're going to see in 49 you have China, 59 you have Cuba, and they tried to do the same in Brazil in 1964. But thanks God, the militaries didn't let the communists get the power. It was necessary even one shot, even one kill to the militaries get the power. Why? Because they had a huge support for the people. Left-wingers are always trying to rewrite the history and say that Brazil lived a dictatorship. No. You have journalists talking bad about the government. If you want to get out of the country, you could do that. All the generals that got elected, they got elected by the parliament. And you have a lot of reasons to believe that it wasn't a dictatorship. But they are going to say that anyway. They are always repeating what they think is right until you trust in them. But okay, after 1964, what happened in Brazil? A part of the communists start to do terrorism. They even kidnapped the American ambassador at that time. In Brazil, we had some aircraft kidnapped, and some of them went to a democratic country called Cuba. See how cool they are? They love the freedom, huh? And on the other hand, they started to do a very slow movement, following the Italian philosopher called Antonio Gramsci. What Antonio Gramsci say? He says that you need to change the culture to get the power. If you get the power by the force, it will not be that long. Sooner or later, it's going to fail. So the left-wingers started to put some, especially teachers in the university, because after the university, you are going to be a judge, a lawyer, a journalist, a politician, an engineer, a doctor. So they were very smart in that. And now you can see, for example, Chile. Chile is very good in economic, in social. They have problems with the universities. In Brazil, also the same thing. Everybody, if you go to the federal university, almost everybody, when you finish that, you are going to say much more that you are on the socialist way. You stop with that when you start working and you have bills to pay and you face the real life. But when you don't have the sense about the real world, it's so easy to believe in these teachers. And they do it clear, they do that. Don't go tell me that, no, this is democracy. No. They will say that democracy, it's you read Trotsky, Karl Marx, or Foucault. You are almost never going to read a book. Your teacher are going to tell you to read a book of Adam Smith, Karl Popper, all of the other guys. So they are very smart in this way, and it's really effective. You can see that we have a lot of work to do to open the eyes of the people and do it in the opposite way, like teach them. That's why I like the thinking tanks, and that's why I want to be connected with Salvini, with Beno, and all the other conservatives around. I know that here in the United States you have a CPAC, which is a huge meeting between the conservatives. I want to bring it to Brazil too. I made one kind of CPAC, not that big. I made in the south of Brazil in December, which we said it was the Conservative Chamber of the Americas. We are going to do another one probably in the end of this year, and it's the work that we have to do.
So you're going to counter the left's, Gramsci's march to the institutions with conservative education.
Yeah, sometimes people say, "Oh, come on, is that real that we have all the time explain people?" And yes, it's the price of the freedom. It's always looking for what is going on, because if you relax and go to the beach, do whatever you want, someone will do this work, and probably in a way that we are not going to like. So it's I like to do that, and I'm excited to do more and more.
And this opposition to cultural Marxism, this is something that's a big issue here in the United States, of course. Is that something your father sees as something that he can be involved in, or?
Yes. If you stop to give money to this non-governmental organization, this is a big stuff. Because sometimes, I talked about the university, but sometimes they have groups. In Venezuela, they say collectives. But these groups of people they go to the teenagers, they go to the teachers, they try to do this movement, especially using schools and university. If you stop to send government money to them, you are doing a really nice job. As I said here, they are masters in separate the society between black and white, even father and son, men and women, north against the south. For all these cases, you have a non-government organization, but they receive a lot of money from the government.
I see.
So their job is to do this, is separate the people and then tell them what is the best for them. Oh, no, you don't know what's the best for you. You have to vote in this candidate here and this kind of stuff.
So the government is going to defund political correctness.
They are already doing that. Yeah. It's not only a subject about be against this kind of group, it's respect with people's money. When the government get your money by the tax, you are giving your money, I mean, at least I do trust in that, it's for education, security, healthy, not to groups, to people who receive $10,000 per month to do this work. Come on, it's not that what is going to bring Brazil to be number one in the world in economic or technology.
One of the parallels between your father and President Trump, and something that Steve Bannon is very involved in, the movement is involved in, Trump has been a critic of globalist institutions. One of his slogans is America first. One of your father's slogans is Brazil first. What's wrong with globalism from the standpoint of Brazil?
Because they want to change the whole world. Brazil is not like US. Brazil is not like Argentina. We like soccer, we have carnival. You like American football, you like baseball, you have Mardi Gras. So it's different, people. We don't need to be forced to look like something that we don't like. We need to preserve our culture, and we have a beautiful culture. We need to preserve our memory, our history, and there is nothing bad with that. That's why we are Brazilians, you are Americans, there are Argentinians, there are Italians, there are Chinese, and what is the matter with that? Why everybody have to be the same and forced to be the same? Why I have to look something in the street and say that I'm liking that when actually I'm not liking? This is my opinion. What we want to do is bring people and put it above the state. It's the state who serves the people. Mm-hmm. It's not the opposite. I don't need politicians to tell me what is the best for me.
I understand. Okay.
You even remember me with this history. There is a law in some states of Brazil that is forbidden you have salt on the table on the restaurants, because salt, it is not good to your heart, to your blood pressure. So they take it off from the table of the restaurants. If you want, you have to ask the waiter. You can smile now. This is not a big deal. That is okay. We can survive without that. But After the thought will come the day with no meat. Imagine if the government starts to tell you that meat's not good to your health, that you have to change the meat for another product. And then it goes over and over and over. This is not freedom.
I understand. So you and your father want to stand up for freedom and for the people having responsibility for their own lives and for the authenticity of your own experience, not something coming from above.
Yes, and that's also why my father named it as economic minister, the Mr. Paulo Guedes. Paulo Guedes, he has a phrase that it is more Brazil and less Brasilia. Brasilia is the capital of Brazil. What does he means with that? Is that the state we have to be smaller to get less taxes from you, so your money of your work stay with you and you do what you think is better. I think this is freedom. Like no one is want to pay half of his salary to the government monthly, and at the end of the day you are going to see the politicians stealing billions and billions of dollars. If you are against the corruption, you are going to agree with this idea.
Eduardo, I'd like to shift gears and ask you about a couple of the tough criticisms your father has received in Brazil. This past week, there's been a big controversy about a photo. Over a year ago, Rio de Janeiro city councilwoman Marielle Franco was murdered. And a photo was unearthed this week showing your father with his arm around one of the police officers who was involved in the murder of Franco. And then after that photo was discovered, it was pointed out that the other man arrested for the murder lived in the same neighborhood as your father, and that your older brother is said to have dated that police officer's daughter. And so the left is calling for an investigation, I understand, to see if your father has ties to paramilitary organizations, to gangs. Does he? Does he have ties to these murderous gangs that are in Rio de Janeiro?
They are crazy to build this history. Yeah. First, when people say, no, someone dated the son of the guy, I said, that wasn't me. My father lived with my youngest brother, Renan. Renan said, like, I don't know, maybe I kissed her, I don't know, but it's not a dating or something that creates a relation between both. Yes, the guy who is getting accused, he lives in the same neighborhood of my father, but what can you do? Are you sure that you live in the same neighborhood of everybody's good people? Sometimes it happens. About the photo, my father have pictures, I think, with almost 100% of the cops of Rio de Janeiro. He's very popular because he's the only one that says in the security what the policemen and what all the officers, what they want to listen. I have pictures with a lot of people. Am I responsible for what they are going to do? No. But they are crazy to do this connection, but there is no connection because there is no reason why Jair Bolsonaro would kill this city council. Why? There is no reason. And another thing, who knows in Brazil, ask it to a Brazilian, if they know who was Marielle Franco, with all respect, who was her before he got killed. No one knows her. I think it's much more something involving paramilitary or drug dealers or whatever than something of the politics. Her speech, it's like it's a speech that criticizes a lot of the police. Yes, a lot. As you have a bunch of politicians that every day are doing the same. So there is no reason. I'm really okay with that. But the left wings, they are crazy to do this connection. Doesn't matter what happened. They are trying to do that because it's going in favor of their speech of victimization. And doesn't matter that there is a body of her friends in this history. They are going to use it and use as much as possible in their cause. I apologize for the killed, for the murder. No one's want people get killed in the politics or in all the other areas, doesn't matter the area. This is a crime, and I expect that when the police resolve this cause, all the criminals go to jail, as all the other criminals that kills 62,000 people per year in Brazil.
Well, let me ask you about one other criticism, and that is the left says that your father wants to be an authoritarian, and they point to several things, but in particular they point to a speech he gave after the first round of the presidential elections. It was apparently a speech to his supporters in São Paulo. And I haven't checked the transcript, but the report is that he said that he threatened the Workers' Party with exile and torture and murder.
Which speech was that?
This was on the night of the first election for the presidential campaign, and it was one that I read it was made to his supporters in São Paulo.
My father made. No telão. Ok. Pô, mas estão criticando ele.
What's been reported, those are very strong words.
Free speech. I want to see only one act of Jair Bolsonaro during these 2 months of government that was authoritarian. They don't have connection with reality. They only want to build a history that is in favor of their cases and that is in favor to they get back of the power. Just don't listen to that. Let's go take a look in the real world. Sometimes my father uses hard words. Sure, yes. If he sees something, he tells. He calls the things by their names. He's not going to trying to be soft or, oh no, let's go trying to use another word. No. He speaks that, and thanks God, he's very sincerely, so people can know who it is Jair Bolsonaro, and they are very, they know in who they are voting for. Because sometimes people vote in the politician, and when the politician goes to the power, it changes a lot. No, not with Jair Bolsonaro. You know right, you know very clear who it is.
So your response is sometimes he says things in a strong way, but you need to look at his actions, and his actions are not authoritarian.
Sure.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. You've spoken often this today about thanks God. What role does belief in God play in this movement supporting your father?
I think because Brazil is a country formed by Christians. Even people who don't believe in God, they are very well received in our country. This is not a matter. I'm a Christian, this is up to me. But you have, I think, I would say that more than 80% of Brazil, they are Christians, especially Catholics or evangelics. And they want someone that think in the same way of them. And I think for me, it's really okay. You are not going, you are not facing a movement in Brazil that are trying to kill people from other religions. The Christians are like the most peaceful people in the world. Maybe that's why we receive so much attacks. Sometimes they attack the church, Catholic or evangelic, and they don't do the same with another religion, because maybe they can receive a big punishment.
Just to be clear, I wasn't suggesting that Christians in Brazil are violent. I was just asking.
No, I know that. It's because I start to answer and I'm going thinking on other things, and when I go to see, I even don't remember what you asked at, I'm talking other stuff. No, but they were great supporters of Jair Bolsonaro, because Jair Bolsonaro, they do a hard defense of the family. I mean, traditional family. And he thinks that this is healthy, this is okay with our culture, and he don't want to mess it up. If you have a partner, if you are a man living with another man, this is not up to us. I don't lose nothing, I don't win nothing, but it's our society, usually you have much more men, women with a kid. And this family, you have written in our constitution. If you want to Brazil accept another ways of families, this is not a problem. We can do that. It's just you do an amendment in the constitution, and that is okay. I will start to respect it. But once we have a constitution, we have to respect it. I don't like the whole constitution of Brazil. I don't like all of it. But we have to respect if we want to live in a normal society. That's why.
Okay. Your father's presidency is a success, and this movement that you're a part of, not Bannon's movement, but the movement in Brazil, if that's a success, looking back, how will Brazil be changed? What will it matter if Jair Bolsonaro's presidency is a success? What will be different?
Nah, a lot of stuff. Like probably another people like Bolsonaro will come up. People that don't be afraid of the politically correct. People that defend the family. People that don't like abortion. Pro-gun politicians too. And this is the way, like meritocracy, like you don't need the government giving to you assistantialism. You can do everything by your arms with a smaller state paying much less taxes. I think he can do a great history. He can do a first step of a long way of prosperity in Brazil. And if he fails, people like Dilma Rousseff and Lula will be back for sure.
Yeah, at the beginning you said that if he failed, then Brazil was doomed to socialism.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
We've covered a lot of ground. Is there something else you'd like to add? Anything else that we haven't covered or you'd like to clarify?
You asked about the security, that you're going to ask about my security here.
Well, that was just idle curiosity. I mean, you're a government official, you're the president's son. I was just asking if maybe you had a security detail with you. After all, your father was almost assassinated.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do something bad with me here in the US. I think it's much easier to them to do that in Brazil. Easier to do and easier to get out of the trials. Here you have hard punishment. I'm sure that if they try to do something against, not only me, against any citizen here, they are going to face a really hard trial. That's why here you have around 3 or 4 murders for each group of 100,000 people. And in Brazil, we have 30 murders for each group of 100,000 people.
Okay, well, let's hope that there's less murder in all places, and Godspeed that you don't need to have security.
Yes, hope so.
Eduardo, thank you so much for coming on
Thank you,
American
Stephen.
Thought Leader.
I say thank you.
Okay.